Okay, I hope everybody can see this. All right, so what you're going to do is take your picture that you printed out and you have a piece of like a plastic grid. I know that it's really shiny, but you're going to put your plastic grid on top of your drawing and you're going to line it up in the corner, top left corner, okay? Start there. And then what I do is I tape it. I tape the grid down to the picture. Okay, just like that. And so it doesn't move. And this gives you an automatic grid. Now, if you don't have a grid, one, ask me and I can leave one for you to pick up. Okay, two, you just make your own grid. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to tape this down. Okay, so it doesn't move. All right, okay. Then if you need to draw a grid on top, what you're going to do is, here's one that I started to draw on. Okay. You need a regular pencil. You're going to need your ruler. You're going to need your thin Sharpie marker. Okay. And then you're going to need this crescent board. All right. So if you don't have a grid, just draw a grid directly on top of your paper. And how to do that is start at the top left. Okay, make sure your ruler lines up with 0. And then I make a dash every inch. Okay, just like that. And then I move my ruler down and I make sure that you line it up at 0 again, and I make a dash every inch as well down here. Okay, now make sure you didn't flip your ruler, because if you flip your ruler, if you have your ruler measuring this way and then you turn it upside down and measure the other way, your measurements will be off. Okay, so make sure that you keep your ruler the same, okay, like from top to bottom. Okay, don't flip it. All right, once you have the two dashes lined up, you're going to take your ruler and just line up that first dash with the dash at the bottom. Okay, and you just draw a line. Okay, and I like to use the thin Sharpie marker to draw a line, so it's really dark and I can see that. Okay, all right. And the reason why I'm not using the thick Sharpie marker is because sometimes when it's really thick, it covers over a really important part and you can't see the detail. Okay, so you do want to see all the detail. All right. Okay, so then what I do after I draw all the vertical lines is I'm going to turn my paper and I'm going to measure it going from left to right again, okay, every inch, okay, and then move down my ruler again and measure every inch, and then I'm going to draw the horizontal lines. Okay, so that's how you draw a grid on top of your paper. That's why I gave you a grid, so you don't have to do it. You just stick it on top and you're done. Okay, can you see those lines on top? All right, then the next thing is I printed out this picture as big as I could, but sometimes we end up with a picture that's not as big. Okay, so we have this one. All right, and here I'm going to put it on top of the white piece of paper. So this is the paper that you're drawing on. Sorry, I can't get my camera, like that's as far away as I can get it, but okay, but you can see where the picture that printed out is only this big and I have a lot of extra space. Okay, so I want this picture to be bigger. Okay, I want it to cover all of my illustration board. So what you're going to do is you take your grid, okay, and this is a 1" by 1" grid. So either put your grid on top or draw a grid on top. Okay, I'm going to tape this so it doesn't move. Okay, so I'm taping it from the back side. Tape. Okay, all right. And when I count the squares, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, okay, it's 7 inches wide. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so it's 7 by 9, but I want it to go onto a 9 by 12 inch piece of paper. So I need to scale up. So I need to draw my grid bigger than 1 inch, 1 inches, 1 inch by 1 inch, correct? Okay. So how to get that calculation is that I know my, this is, right, 7 by 9. So 9 inches across, it's going to be 9 inches divided by 7. And I get 1.28. Okay. So my inches need to be 1.28. And then if I calculate the top to bottom, okay, that's 12 divided by, what was it, 9? Okay, and that's 1.33. So they're pretty, I mean, they're not exact, but you're just going to kind of round it off. Okay, so let's say you want to go with 1.2, like 1.3, or 1.25, or, something that you feel like you can measure. Okay. You might have a little extra border. That's okay. All right. It doesn't need to be exact, but you do definitely don't want to draw this 1 inch by 1 inch because it really will be too small. Okay. So let's say I go with something easy like 1.25. That's easy for me to measure because that's 1 inch, 1¼ inches. So you're going to start again at 0. I'm going to measure at 1¼ inches, and I'm going to make a dash every 1¼ inches. Okay. So here's an inch. There you go. And there's an inch, 1¼ inch, 1¼ inch, 1/4, and 3/4, right? Boop. Okay, so I should have, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I just have a little smidge on the edge. I'm not going to worry about that. It's like 1/8 of an inch. It's not that big a deal. Okay. So I made all my dashes 1¼ Same thing for drawing the grid. If we had to draw on paper, you're going to measure 1¼ right? 1¼ and there and there. Okay, and then take your ruler. But when we draw the grid on top of the illustration board, you want to draw it as light as possible, okay? Because we want to erase this grid. We don't want it to be seen when we're done with our drawing. So how to do that is I hold my pencil. I like barely hold my pencil. I like hold it with like 3 fingers, see? Like I barely hold my pencil and I just kind of put it here. I'll move this down. Kind of start at the top here, okay, holding it, and I just like barely touch the paper, okay, so that I end up with the lightest line possible. You can see it when I get in close, okay, but it's a very, very light line. So how to draw perfectly parallel lines is you need to mark at the top. You need to mark at the top. you need to mark at the bottom. You line up the 2 dashes, and then you barely draw. Okay? All right. So that's how you're going to get a grid onto your illustration board. So now it doesn't matter what size your illustration board is, because if you have, let's say we make a huge drawing, we want to make a 6 foot by 8 foot drawing, something like your whole wall, then we know how to scale up. We just multiply, the numbers. Okay. So you're going to draw a grid on top of your illustration board. I think I want to start this way. Okay. And going horizontally, same thing. Just remember to make sure that you start at 0 and then measure over. Okay. And then do the same at the bottom. I didn't finish, so that's why it looks like that. Okay, and then line up the 2 lines. Okay, so you get your grid. All right, once you have your grid drawn, now you can start on your drawing. Okay, I like to start in the top corner. If I'm going to draw Billie Eilish over here, okay, I like this top corner. It just has like a little piece of her hair. Okay, so I'm just going to draw, okay, that little piece of the hair, but then it continues into the next line and it goes almost to the middle. So, okay, right there. And then it continues at a slight angle up. And I'm not drawing all these little hairs yet. I really just want to get an outline, okay, of where to draw. Okay. The other place I sometimes like to start is I like to start in the middle. I like to start with the eye and then I just sort of work my way out. So the eye is 1, 2, 3 over and 1, 2, 3, 4 down. Okay. So I just count 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. And I know this eye should be in this square. And so I look and I say, okay, the top lid goes up maybe 2/3 of a way, then it slopes down to about there, and then this eye goes across. Okay, and this little bit of the pupil is fairly straight, and then her eyelid. Okay, so wherever you start, just how we get out of proportion is people forget to count. Okay, so if you're drawing this eye, really pay attention, okay, where to start. And then once you start, really pay attention to these squares. Draw square by square. Because what happens is people start drawing this and they're looking at it and they ignore the grid. And then things start getting really out of proportion, okay? So you want to make sure that you're paying attention to where lines meet up, okay, and where they're stopping, so that everything stays in proportion, okay? So your first drawing is going to be very, very, very light, okay? Very light grid, very light pencil drawing, no shading, just getting things in like where they should be, okay? So you don't have to at first draw every single little hair. Don't worry about that. The necklace, okay? Let's say you decide that this necklace is really, really difficult to draw, which it is. I mean, it's just time consuming. It's not difficult, it's just time consuming. You can eliminate this. Let's say you just say, I don't want to draw the necklace. I'm just going to draw the rest of her neck there. That's fine with me, okay? If you don't want to draw her, gosh, what is this? Like her microphone or her, not her microphone, but like her hearing, the kind of like an, earbud or something. Or it's actually, I think it's, isn't it like so to protect your ears from too much noise, right? When you're in concert. So you don't have to draw that. Okay, but don't change things dramatically, such as don't put a closed mouth on her, because that will change the whole structure of her face. Okay, so you can tweak a little bit, but not too much. All right, and that's it. Okay. All righty, everybody. I'm done. Hopefully that worked. Oh, wait, how do I? Okay, stop.